Welcome back, YouTubers, to another Q&A with us, the British Fist.
Catching.
I am Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me, who does facial hair well, it's none other than NJ, people.
Before I do my catchphrase, if you haven't seen the video already, a few months back, probably a year now, Wrestling Jesus made fun of us. And numerous times, I did this.
You do?
What's up?
Oh, that video, I think a lot of people were saying, like, oh, don't make fun of these guys. And I'm just like, that's actually hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, the guy did a pretty crappy impression of me, and that's what I thought was pretty funny. Do you remember? I'm going to do a Raw review. I'm not going to do a Raw review. Do you remember that? Yeah, Wrestling Jesus and his mate. Yeah, terrible. But that's what made it so funny.
It did.
Anyway, yeah, you can do your catchphrase again.
What's up?
And about 1 million of you tuned into our videos when you did that. It's time for another Q&A where we obviously take your questions and answer them. I just want to put this out there, guys. We have had a ridiculous amount. Wow. You're that stupid minion thing from that stupid advert, aren't you? Yeah, NJ's been a minion this whole time. Anyway, on a more serious note, even though it's quite hard to take this video seriously when you've got a minion, thank you so much for your questions. We have so many questions that we want to get through right now. Of course, time limits are constraining us because we only really want to do 20-minute videos, but we're going to try and get through your questions as quickly as possible so they get answered as soon as possible. I know some of you lot have been waiting for maybe a month or maybe a couple of months to get your questions answered, but we do promise that if you keep watching these Q&As, we will eventually get to it. And the best way to ask us questions, is to put them in that comment section below.
Banana!
I prefer apples. I've always preferred apples to bananas. Or was that supposed to be a joke?
Banana!
Yeah, you're not very funny. Minions, I just don't think Minions are very funny. Anyway, first question comes from Tim Crace. Or first 4 questions come from Tim Crace. Do you think the WWE should have Money in the Bank briefcase contracts for Intercontinental Championship, Tag Team Championship, and US Championship? I don't see the point in that. I mean, maybe as a one-off thing, okay. But really, I think the Money in the Bank should just be one thing and should be saved for the biggest belt, which is the World Heavyweight Championship.
As much as I can see where the benefit would come from, because you don't know who the person's going to cash it in on, which would make possibly the mid-card more exciting, because, yeah, you want to go for the main title, that's everyone's dream. But to think of, let's say, Neville, let's say if he won Money in the Bank, yeah, he could cash in on the main event if he was ready, or he could get the Intercontinental Championship whenever he wanted. So I can see the excitement in it, but obviously everyone's dream is to go for the main title, so you'd expect them to not want to cash it in on the mid-card champion or the tag champion.
So do you think the Money in the Bank briefcase should be available? Is the Money in the Bank briefcase available to cash in on any championship, or I don't really know what the rules are on this?
For my memory, it seems like it is for the World Championship. That's what makes the match so important. But I think having mid-carders in the Money in the Bank match, they should be able to use it on any championship apart from the tag.
I just think that if you have too many, if you have one for the women's, one for the tag, one for the US, one for the IC, it will just kind of get a bit meaningless because so many people will have them, and it'll just be the same old. It will be happening too much, and I think the whole point of having one is just so it happens once a year. So it's a bit of a surprise that way, and I think it works better that way personally. But there you go. Do you think WWE should bring back the brand split? No. I don't think they have the depth in roster, and with Raw being 3 hours, I think they need all their roster. They need all their roster for that show and also for SmackDown. Plus, I prefer it when all the roster is on either show.
With SmackDown going from, it looks like it's getting better, to staying the same, while Raw is still staying in its solid place.
Shit.
I really don't think the brand split is needed, and I think the concentration should be on NXT, either become its own brand, or possibly just concentrate on Raw and SmackDown and NXT.
Do you think the WWE should bring back the draft? While it was a good implementation from sports such as basketball, American football, and stuff like that, and while it was quite a good idea at the time, without the brand split, not really too much point in doing a draft.
The draft I'd only do is between NXT.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, even though there's not much wrestlers on the NXT to redo it, I still think it would be exciting. Plus, if you're doing it the other way, main roster.
To NXT.
Oh.
Not sure that would have quite the same.
Main eventer onto NXT. You put like
Yeah.
Not Cena, because Cena
He
teases it.
He'll probably get drafted there and then drafted back at the end of the night.
But think Orton drafted, who's doing nothing, you know, stuff
but
like that.
But the thing is, like, you can just be on the main roster anyway, so there wouldn't really be too much point, you know. So, I mean, essentially, at the end of the day, NXT is a developmental territory, and you always aim to strive to get to the next part of the roster, which is the main roster, as we get another fucking minion.
Bananas!
Do you think AJ Lee will sign with TNA? No, she is apparently retired, and I think now she's with CM Punk and she's married, etc. They'll probably look to have some kids now, and I think AJ Lee will just settle down with CM Punk, making a lot of the money, one would think.
With AJ, I think as much as I felt her wrestling career weren't as long as possibly it could have been, I don't think going to NXT, the TNA, is really...
You really pissed off some NXT fans saying that, I'm just saying.
Good. Yeah, I just think she's done with wrestling and she would spend time producing baby wrestlers.
That's cool. Nabil Akhtar, why are you so against the WWE Network?
Yeah, Dan.
We're not, I mean, I know I'm not. I'm not necessarily against the WWE Network. I just don't feel it's worth my money, considering I did try it for a month when it was free, even though they still charged me for some reason. And I found myself not really watching it as much as I thought I should be watching it in order for it to be worthwhile. I mean, other than NXT and a few specials, you know, here and there, which, you know, as soon as I watch something once, I don't want to watch it again. So I just didn't feel it was worth it for me. However, I do think the idea of the WWE Network is a good one if they do it correctly.
As much as I can see some benefits of the network, which is able to watch any pay-per-view whenever you wanted, I think until the WWE actually work on ways on how they can produce special content like they're trying to do, like, you're not going to get to see this Heyman thing or Sting thing until after Raw. Until they find a good flow of that, it's not really going to pull me in. When they've started to create continuous special content weekly, fortnightly, it's not going to pull me in.
I mean, let me just pose something to you, NJ. Let's say, you know, let's go back to a better day. Let's say like 2002, when you were watching wrestling. If the WWE came on board and said, "Here's the WWE Network," you'd have been on it like a flash, wouldn't you?
Back then, with everything going on and the wrestlers there and the ideas going there, and back when we were more into the company, yes.
So there you go. Michael Murray. And if you wanted an impression as to how long generally the questions take to be answered in our Q&As, then this will be it. Congrats on 200, guys. So this would have been asked in Q&A 200. We are now on Q&A 211. That means you'll probably have to wait 2.5 months, aka 8 or 9 Q&As, in order for us to... Oh my god. In order for us to answer your questions. It's a good job you don't wear glasses, you Cyclops motherfucker. Innit? What now? Ponygrammics? Oranges?
Bananas!
Oh, more bananas. Right, cool. Do you think WWE should just stop running SmackDown? Is there an actual need for the show now, since most fans don't seem to watch and they have so much other content out there, especially with the network? Would SmackDown be missed? Well, I know what you're going to say, bananas, so I'm going to elaborate on that. I mean, they still bring in a decent rating. They still bring in 2 to 2.5 million viewers, which is still pretty good, considering apparently not many people watch it. So, I mean, if it still brings them viewership and it still does good advertising revenue, why would they stop? Why would they stop running SmackDown? I don't know why I'd watch it. I mean, I don't even watch Raw. But you know, even when I was into WWE, I probably still wouldn't watch SmackDown because I knew it was the B show. But if the facts are there, it still brings in a decent audience. So why would you stop running something that brings in a decent audience?
Time after time after time, SmackDown shows some glimpse of being better than Raw sometimes, or some fans have felt that way, but not enough to be a solid show that's going to draw in the same fans that watch Raw. So to be honest, SmackDown being there, yes, it helps them fill in some blanks and push things forward. And yes, it's all about bringing that extra bit of money a week. But I just think SmackDown needs full concentration, full repackaging, or just at least have something solidly being taken over on SmackDown to make it good again.
Well, firstly, they need a face of SmackDown, kind of like they used to have with Edge on back in 2010. But would SmackDown be missed if it went off the air? I don't think it would be to hardcore wrestling fans. I don't really know. But I mean, I wouldn't miss SmackDown, and I'm sure there are people out there that would. Maybe they don't. Maybe they can't watch wrestling on a Monday, but they can watch it on a Friday. Maybe they watch the repeats of SmackDown like I used to do on Sky One back in the day. So I wouldn't miss it, but I think there probably would be people out there that did. But I don't think it would miss too much by the majority, even though it does bring in a 2.5 million audience.
I wouldn't miss SmackDown. People say, "Oh, you should watch this match on SmackDown." Rare occurrence.
It's never going to be important, is it?
Not really.
So there you go. Stuart Allison, do you think WWE are laying the seeds for moving away from PG? There has been a lot more uses of the word bitch. Randy Orton showing Rollins the finger. I called you a bitch. Lesnar blading himself at Mania and Kane threatening to hook Jamie. Just be glad I haven't thought about doing this next thing. And Kane threatening to hook Jamie Noble's balls up to a car battery on Raw are just a few examples.
Let me start with the
No,
Kane
I
thing
agree.
straight
I
away.
know what you're going to say.
That Kane thing. That's just Kane trying to prove that he's still that same old Kane. He's the exact same thing. He's not going to go anywhere. He can tease like, "Oh, I put Paul Bear in a freezer." He's just reminiscing of things when he used to be good. So that is not really an example of pulling away from the PG era. The swearing, The Rock started it, and they didn't really move away because The Rock came back. So to be honest, I think they're just trying to give some glimpse of what fans want, but I don't think it's going to move away.
There's no way they're moving away from the PG era. I'm sorry. Just because there's a little bit of swearing and the odd thing, or the odd here and there happening with something that may not be PG, it doesn't necessarily mean they're laying the seed for moving away. I mean, if they were moving away from the PG, there'll be much, much more of this, not just little glimpses here and there. That's all I'm going to say about that. Ebro S, who should fight at this year's Survivor Series match? That's an interesting one. I'm trying to think what feuds are going to be going into Survivor Series. I'm trying to think what they might do. Like Team Authority again versus like Team Lesnar. I don't know.
Well, recently, like at Money in the Bank, they started bringing up the concept of a tag team Money in the Bank ladder matchy stuff. So I think at Survivor Series, they'll probably just do a special tag team Survivor Series match, probably a Survivor Series for the Intercontinental. I don't think they're going to probably make. I know the concept is Survivor Series, but I can't see them doing any different team versus team match.
The only one that really springs to mind is Team Authority versus Team Babyface. That's really the only thing I can think of. By then, Triple H may have faced Rollins. Brock Lesnar may have faced Reigns. I don't really know. So it's very hard to predict who's going to be fighting there. We don't really. I mean, WWE are moving at such a fast pace with all these special events. You can't really put a foot on it. I'd imagine that would be Team Authority versus Team of Babyfaces or something. I don't know. We'll see in a few months.
Yeah.
Renegade Man 83. Do you see Vince being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? I don't think Vince wants to induct himself into his own Hall of Fame. I think that's kind of an unwritten rule. I mean, he created the Hall of Fame, so really, I mean, if he passes away, I think he should go in, but just not right now. I just think there's an unwritten rule in wrestling where you don't put yourself into your own Hall of Fame.
I think it would be really, really sad if Vince was to one day go in it, that he's not able to do it in person. Because I think of Vince McMahon's speech as he probably steps away from owning the company or being a on-screen character for good.
If he steps away, I'd say, okay, do it. I mean, he's the owner. He's the reason why WWE exists. He's the reason why there is been an evolution in the wrestling business.
But the question for this is, if he does go in, who and why to induct him? Who
knows? Probably
Triple H, he's taken over.
Probably Stephanie, maybe his daughter, maybe his wife,
Linda, because she's not running for Senate.
which is a good thing. Stand up for WWE. No?
No, I'm not
Oh,
standing up.
no, that's sorry. I think I took that a little bit literally. Next question. Do you, this is kind of similar to a question we had before. Do you think WWE should do a Money in the Bank briefcase for the mid card and tag team belts? Again, no. I just think it would be much too overcrowded with Money in the Bank briefcases if you did that. I'm just saying.
For the tag, no, because I think they'll get too messy. There's not enough tag teams. The mid card, whatever the WWE can do to spark interest in mid carders, to bring them up, to make them want to be mid carders, to make them want to chase the belt. Yeah, so if they ever did a mid card Money in the Bank, I'd like to give it a chance.
Yep, I can see your point. In your opinion, how do you feel about people on the internet? Sorry, I'll say that again. In your opinion, how do you feel about people on the internet assuming that Neville is a jobber after his loss to Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler?
Bananas!
I'd say the people, yeah, they're probably pretty bananas. I mean, I'm not really sure how losing to the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, a guy that's been in the mid card but is still a big, a decent part of the company. I don't see how debuting and losing to those two guys, in very competitive matches means that the guy is a jobber. I mean, they've still but they've still had him in feuds. They've still had him on the pay-per-views, haven't they? To a degree.
As much as Neville right now seems to just been an NXT talent coming onto the roster to show what he can do, but not accomplish something.
Have they given him a storyline yet?
Not fully. Barrett thing, but that really didn't go anywhere.
So basically, they've just brought him on the roster to have good matches.
Looks it, but I think he's not a jobber because obviously the things he's done has shown that he can go toe to toe in a way with some names. He just needs an accomplishment to prove to people that do think he's a jobber that he's something more.
I think personally they brought him in. I don't think they had many plans for him. I think they knew he couldn't really talk. They knew they couldn't really tell much of a story of him. So they brought him up to the main roster to be like a Dolph Ziggler, who is just kind of scattered around everywhere and giving people good matches and getting the best out of people. That's what I think he was brought to the main roster for. That's just my hunch. RFV089. What are your thoughts on AJ Lee retiring? I don't blame her. Because you're caught in a rock in a hard place, really, aren't you? I mean, you've got this whole thing with CM Punk, and you're working for the company that CM Punk despises, and just had a lawsuit against. The WWE are going to think badly about that, no matter how much they say they don't. They're probably going to try and make her life hell. And I can't remember who said this. I was on a podcast I was listening to. How do you go home to your husband and then talk about your day at work? You know what I mean? I mean, how would you do that with the way things are? So I have no problems with AJ Lee retiring. I think financially, if she's going to be with CM Punk, she is set. Let's say if things don't work out, I'm pretty sure she can always make a return to the WWE and earn some money.
With AJ Lee, my biggest thing for her, if we ignore the Punk part of the story, with AJ Lee, she's accomplished everything the WWE at this current time
in a very short space of time.
Give her. Yes, I think with her thinking, I'm going to have the same match a year from now, or between now and next year, there's nothing different for me to do. I think keeping her around, yes, you might love her, she's your woman, as I've read some people calling her.
Or girl.
Girl, well, yeah, schoolgirl. I think if one day they bring back an ex-diva, yes, you may start wishing, I wish AJ was here. But because she's accomplished everything, I'm thinking, yes, the WWE are probably paying you a lot, but you want exciting things in your career, the WWE Diva. And with the Diva division being as staid as it is, you're not really gaining what you want from it.
When do you think the Authority faction is going to end, or will end? Who the fuck knows? Seriously, I can see it lasting forever, like at this moment in time. I really can. I mean, how long did the McMahon Corporation last for? I mean, it lasted for years in one way or another, didn't it? Whether it was Vince McMahon, Triple H, or Team WWE, that was essentially the corporation.
Here's my stamp on it. I think they should go as long as they can with it, and I'll tell you for why. The WWE right now, possibly Kevin Owens, in part-time Brock Lesnar, They don't have the big bad heel that could step on anyone's future, anyone's path to where they want to go. Having the Authority there, yes, they're getting involved with the main eventers right now, but you've seen a glimpse of them get involved with Dolph Ziggler, you know, the mid-carders. So I think having the Authority there, possibly using them back in the mid-card division, stepping on other people's chances, you've got a top heel to work against.
Or you have someone at least that, even if you don't have a top heel, you can bring someone in and immediately make them a top heel by the fact that they're associated with the Authority. Just like they did with The Rock in, I believe it was 98, when they brought him into the corporation, and that immediately made him the top heel.
Beautiful.
You know, I mean, Seth Rollins, who'd have thought he'd be the top heel in the company? I mean, that's what the Authority does when you're relying with Triple H, Stephanie McMahon. It makes you the top heel.
And he helped the Authority helped save careers, Big Show and Kane.
Yeah, because that's very true.
He could help to save, if they wanted to, they could look at other long-term Undertaker's career.
Yeah, and on that, I was really hoping to end on a little bit more of a positive note. But anyway, that's been another Q&A. I believe that was Q&A 211. With us, the British Fist, me, Mr. Parkin, and one of the minions off that stupid advert.
Bananas!
Bananas. Yeah, do you want to outro us, minion?
Can't really do it as a minion because their terminology isn't really helpful in this certain video. So from another minion sitting right here,
Bananas!
And me and Jay sitting right here, thank you very much for watching. And... Bananas!